Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Couch Crunch podcast. I have my two co-hosts with me, Angel and Don. You guys can go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hey, hope everyone's doing all right today. When we get into these topics.
It's going on, guys. I hope everyone's having a good day today, and thank you for tuning in.
And it's actually good to have Angel on back on the podcast, man. It's great to
Oh
have you back
yeah,
on there, man. You've been gone for a while.
Yeah, I had to take care of some personal business.
No, man, it's fully understandable. So on this episode, guys, we're gonna actually just take you down memory lane on actually how Couch Crunch came to be. We just thought that it was actually going to be a funny story to kind of have us put that out there. I mean, I think we mentioned it on the very first episode of Couch Crunch. I mean, I know it didn't get that many views, but it was pretty funny because I guess I can go ahead and start. Angel's probably not going to be able to touch up on this, but he is, he's a new recruit of the show. But I think it'll be funny for him to kind of hear like how the story went. I believe it started from like how we just was having a conversation one day on the phone. I believe it was just me, you, and Alex, and um, I believe we were just trying to figure out. We all wanted to do something as a group. We was like we didn't know what it was, but we wanted to just kind of do something as like a group thing and try to get some like I don't know some type of publicity and stuff like that. We wanted to be like on the internet somehow, but we just didn't know like what exactly like what field that we wanted to actually get into. Um, and I remember us just kind of having like a funny conversation, and I believe Don, because I know you kind of started the conversation that day with uh wanting to you thought it was a joke for us to kind of do like a podcast, right? Like
yeah, yeah. Because the way it started off, it was like because on the call for like the paint a picture is like on the call at the moment. It was just me, Nick, and Alex on the call, and we was just basically just talking about reminiscing on like old games and like games we would play, and we was just having a long drawn out conversation about them. And I just brought up the idea of like just being sarcastic, like that
all
would
right.
be funny since we talk so much about games. Why not make a podcast about it? But then uh Nick was like, "Oh, we really should do that." And I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah, because I really wanted us to like. I thought it was such a fucking awesome idea. Because like I remember, I know we got into like the game super late, but I just thought it was like a funny, like an and like a real good concept at the time. And us, being gamers most of our lives, like ever since I can fucking walk on my 2 feet, I've been playing video games. I've probably been playing video games in my mom's stomach. Uh, I
A
just
little joystick up in there.
yeah, a little joystick in there. I don't know. Now it's like gone now. But it pretty much I've been a gamer ever since I can remember, man. I mean, and pretty much I remember us saying that actually on the very first episode we all try to introduce ourselves like, for the first time, and we were just saying like we all been gamers for such a long time, but it was such a good idea for us to kind of say like why not make a gaming podcast, because it just made so much sense, for us to kind of get our insight. And mind you, it was such a difficult thing to do at first because we didn't know how to even begin our steps, and at the time it was a lot of competition for us to, even though it was like only literally 4 months ago, but at the time when we first made it, it was kind of, we were basically double, like we were thinking like, is this gonna even go nowhere, because there's so many gaming podcasts in the world, and it's gonna be so hard to really compete with everybody out there. But we also just decided like, who fucking cares, we just decided, why don't let's not focus on too much of the bad things, and let's just worry about like all the good things first. And we just decided to proceed. And I forgot who. I think it was Ramir that actually came up with the name. We just actually came up with like a whole bunch of names of what to call the podcast. And at first it was gonna be called like, I don't know. I forgot. There was a couple names in the basket, right, Don? It was like
oh yeah, we." I can't remember at this point. I can't remember all the names we came up
it
with,
was it
but
was it was a pretty it was like it was a few funny silly names for some of the things on there. But I remember it was just one day Amir was just like, why don't we just call it Couch Crunch? You know what I mean? Because I mean, it just made sense with you know, a group of friends just kind of just being you know, friends and family, because my cousin's actually a part of it and my nephew's a part of it. So, you know, I have a little bit of family on there. You know, we all could just chill and play games on the couch. It just made a lot more sense. So we just decided to call it that, you know. And, you know, Don decided he made the logo because he's such an amazing artist. He made the logo, and then we just fucking said, you know, we rolled with it. And then, you know, we started to go from there and just decided to go on YouTube. And I remember the very first recording that we did, we was actually in Alex's apartment. And,
Yeah.
we just sat around the table with shitty mics. You know, they were just some USB $20 mics. And, you know, because we weren't trying to aim for quality, obviously, for us jumping into this field. We just wanted to kind of just get our experience in. I was fucking nervous because I've never been on the internet before. And it was such a big jump for me. So it was pretty fun to be like have my first experience with the people I can trust the most in this world. And you know, it was just it was a fun introduction, you know. Don, how'd you feel about your first time being on there?
Oh yeah, you can look back at the first 4 or 5 videos. You see how my dialect was, and I was a nervous wreck back then.
It was like I don't think we started to become comfortable maybe until like, what was it, like 8 or 9? Because I have the episode list right up on the screen right here, and I believe like 8 or 9 was probably our like comfortability level when we just decided to reveal ourselves on episode 10 as well. But just from 8, 9, and 10, that's when we started to become comfortable, because like before that, 7, all the short episodes. I remember there was one episode I put on there. It was only like fucking 11 minutes, but it was by myself, and it was that you know, that took a lot for me to do on my own, because you know, you're by yourself, and you know, the first thing you think about, you're like, damn, I don't even know what to talk about. So I just decided to just go based off like whatever I thought in my head. I forgot what I even talked about on that monologue, honestly. But I just decided to just say fuck it, you know, and just did it myself. And I remember me doing that. I know a lot of the people from the show were like, yo, that's we're trying to become more like that. Like, just try to go from your mind and not just keep writing on a script. Because before, when we did our first couple of episodes, I just wanted to just write shit like, you know, you're supposed to write notes. For me, I was writing a fucking script, like from like exactly me just writing a whole, like, I can, if it's a topic, I'll write the topic, I'll write my points, and then I literally would write like a script on what to say instead of me just saying it from the top of my head. So I thought that was a really fun experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. It's like, well, when you first starting like a podcast or being on camera, it's like you don't know how to react in front of the camera, and you're so self-aware of yourself being on camera at all times that you're not comfortable. But as you keep doing it, of course, you start to adjust and get more relaxed over time.
Yeah.
Start to try to improve yourself as well. You pick up on your mistakes in past videos and all that.
Right. That's what I was saying too. Like, yeah, it was a funny thing, and you know, I think I still think that we're still striving to do better with the show. Of course, we're always looking to grow. But for the amount of time that we've, from the beginning of what we started, we grew a lot, you know, throughout the last 4 months. Mind you, we have a small audience, but you know, we're still trying to do the best we can, and I think we're doing really good for beginners. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So
just scratching the surface yet.
Right, it feels good. That's why I'm saying it feels good to kind of like just talk about like how did the podcast ever came to be, because I know most podcasters don't even try to talk about stuff like that. You know, I mean, unless they're doing an interview and somebody's asking them about it.
Yeah, or a Q&A or something like that.
Yeah. So, you know, then we just decided to do, after the very first episode, we just decided to just continue to grow. Of course, the show went through some rough patches, but you know, we still managed to still get through those rough patches, and then later on, we recruited Angel. on the
Yeah.
team, and he did amazing for his very first episode. Because he did a lot better than all of us. Like when we first got on there, we were fucking like stuttering, and he didn't know. He was chill. He did really
Yeah.
good for his first time. So I was glad to recruit somebody that I know I can trust, especially on this show, and I'm glad to be working with him on this project.
I
Yeah.
think as far as my
Cool.
first time being on the podcast, I think the reason why I was probably just so chill about it is, I guess you could say, a number of reasons. I used to be in like this, I guess you can call it like a club back in high school, where we were kind of like on stage every once in the blue in front of like half the school. So I
Mm.
had to deal with that, and then on top of and to kind of like one up that, I guess you could say, is that when we started the podcast, to a certain degree, it was like I forgot the cameras were there,
Mm.
because like once it started rolling, it was just like I'm just hearing familiar voices that I'm comfortable hearing, if that makes sense. So it was like, if I did have any sort of nervousness when I first as I was going into it, that all dissipated by the time you know we hit record and everybody just started talking. I'm just like, okay, this is chill. I can rock with this. You know what I mean?
All right.
So it was like I wasn't nervous at all, and I just had the thought in the back of my head, just every once in a while, just acknowledge that the camera's there, so
Mm.
I'm not like full on like ignoring the audience, which I'm not. It was just I also wanted to be into the conversation too, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think you did
So all
well.
in all, I was just comfortable because of who I was around, you know.
Yeah,
That's
for sure. I mean, you're around trusted people that you can trust with your life, and what better experience to get with those group of people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
put you
So
in a good headspace.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm saying like it was such a good experience to get him on that. I remember when I first invited him, he wasn't nervous at all, man. He was just like, for sure, like I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just right on it. Like most people would be like, "Are you sure?" Like I even decided, like I even said, like there's been a few people I've actually tried to invite on the show, and they were like, I don't know, I'm not really that good with like talking, and it's like, dude, it's just talking. Obviously you still have to watch what you say because we're on the internet, and obviously we don't want specific type of language. Like you can still curse, that's fine on this show.
I was
um
about to say, because you dropped a few f bombs
yeah,
during the
yeah,
course of
you
this
can curse.
recording.
Yeah, you can curse. I'm all for that, but like you can't be aggressive towards like certain subjects, or you can't be racist. None of that. None of that stuff on this show. But
You need a bleep button. So every
I,
time
I,
somebody
I
curses, just
mean,
press the button.
right. I mean, you're gonna get bleeped anyway. Yeah, if you start doing that, and plus, obviously, we won't. We probably won't. We'll probably cut it short, and we would just be like, yeah, you can see your way out the door now. But yeah, I mean, he was right on it, man. He just said, fuck it, and he just went straight in, dived into it. I wasn't even on the episode. His very first episode, he was with you guys, and I was the camera guy for that episode.
Yeah. And then we're all
Yeah, he was
smooth.
our personal stage crew.
I was,
Yep.
I was like doing like 7 different things because that one single shot, man, I just had to keep getting up and going over to the camera, and it was like so frustrating because the frustration of not having to have like the right stuff for us to switch between cameras. I mean, I tell you, I personally know what it's like. And I was gonna say
Yeah,
that I was at,
personally, if I'm being honest, like I think my last year of high school, I was actually part of stage crew. So whenever we had some type of event going on in the auditorium, I was on the stage prepping everything. So like I know firsthand that stuff cannot be easy.
it's not
Like
easy at all.
like there's moments where it's like, once you have like a good system going, it's just like a 1, 2, 3. But in the beginning, it's definitely going to be taxing and rather difficult to try and stay on top of things.
Exactly. And
So I get exactly where you're coming from with that.
exactly. And me being the only person on the show that does the edits for the audio and the video, because most people probably like, I wonder who these guys edits, and yeah, that's me. You know. So it's taken me a long time, to do all that because I'm the show's only editor. We don't pay anybody to do that. We learned ourselves. Which is a better experience for us to really get. Well, for
Oh
me,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, for
I'm
me,
also starting to realize that like I did a lot in high school, because like I was just about to say I've also done cinematography in high school,
There you go.
I had to act or I had to shoot, to help edit videos and all that. And the only thing that I guess you could say I still remember, and it wasn't even hard to begin with, and that was just the acting portion. Like if you sat me in front of the computer, it's like, I need you to edit this video for me. I'm just like, yeah, I can't help you there, chief. Like I don't remember any of that. The acting portion was always the easy part.
Right, but if we sat you in front of like to sync up audio, and then you have to do like every single
like water gun point. She's like, listen, if you don't edit this video, we're gonna shoot you in the face with some water. I'm just like,
I'd rather take the water. Yeah.
Yep, I'm just gonna take that. Keep it pushing.
And the best part about having a team that really does understand, there was never no limit, and that's why I feel like it's good to have some workers, the co-workers to work with on a project that understands. There's no specific deadline. I work at my own pace, and that's a great feeling to have for a group of people that understand your situation. So, I hope that you guys, if you guys are making a podcast, and also that's why we also wanted to talk about some of these experiences, because just for people breaking into the industry. And I understand like a lot of people, there's so many podcasts out there, but for people that are that wants to be able to start their own podcast on themselves, we hope that you find this video and be able to take some insight from how our experiences are and kind of feel better, like make you feel better that when you're getting into it, you're a little nervous, and you can hear this episode and like, oh, those guys went through it, so we feel a little more confident now that we're not the only ones going through this type of stress. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To a certain degree, I feel like it also falls in line with the whole saying that time heals all, but more so in the sense that like in the beginning, it's gonna be rough, and it's almost gonna feel like it might not just be worth it because of the struggles that you might be going through.
Right.
But it's also falls in line with the fact that if you're motivated to do it, you want to stay dedicated. The more you do it, the easier it's going to get for you.
Oh, for sure. I mean? Yes, 100%. And that's why we always
feel like that. Yeah, that can go along with just about anything nowadays.
Exactly. I
Whether
agree.
you're going through personal hardships in your personal life, or something with work, whatever, a project that you want to get done around the house, like that. That falls in line with anything.
Yeah, I agree.
If you take the time and see it through, or just like give certain things time to heal, it'll all work out.
I like that.
Yeah.
See that, dude?
Even like when it comes to like the equipment we first brought, like I started off with the blue the snowball microphone, this one. So it's
right.
This is
a bowling ball on your desk.
Huh? Oh yeah. Yeah, so it's like we started off with like mics like these, and these are good for like people that are doing like solo podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're doing like two or more people, it's like you should try to get like a better AXLR mic or something along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, just for another tip to XLR, I can't get too much into like the sound or frequencies, but it took us a long time to kind of get educated on like what type of sound is good for podcasting. Honestly, you can get away with even just your phone as well. Like you can just kind of hook up a small little microphone that can connect to your phone, and as long as you're in a quiet room with some headphones and your phone, you should be good to go. And like
can you guys even? I feel like this is horrible timing. Can you hear the AC going in the living room?
Not at all, my friend.
Oh, all right, that is great. That was like sitting in the back of my head since we hit record, and I'm just like, I wonder if they can hear it.
And now that's actually why I shut off mine. My AC unit, because it's super loud down here.
Yikes! At least it's always cold in your basement, though.
Yeah. But yeah, that's another thing too. If you guys want to ever decide to like always asking questions like what microphones to kind of pick up and stuff like that. With that, whatever is affordable to your budget. And like I said, we're just as long as you're feeling confident enough to start your first episode by yourself, like I was gonna say too, like my co-host said, Don. Even with a microphone like that, that's perfect for your beginners. You know what I mean? It's nothing like crazy. You don't have to go over budget and stuff like that. It's everything is like a lot simpler than what it seems, especially on YouTube when you're seeing all these YouTube videos on how to do all these like setting up with mics and the right soundproof walls and stuff like that. No, you don't have to do
Not
any
only
of that.
that is I feel like a lot of people can attest to this because I'm one of those people too. But because I'm one of those people that like I kind of just go with the flow, and I to a certain degree I like to figure things out by myself, even if I have to figure it out the hard way.
Right.
But in this type of field, I feel as though like it's going to be one of those moments where you should just not be afraid to ask questions,
Oh, for
even
sure.
if like you're at another person's YouTube, watching one of their videos, and they have like a podcast or whatever, just a regular YouTube channel. It wouldn't hurt just to leave a message and asking for some pointers or just some advice or whatever the case may be that you might be looking for. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Right.
So it's better to ask for the help, even though I know that you're not going to want it. I'm sorry. Like it's better to ask for it, even though you don't want to, because like I said, I'm like that too.
Right.
But it'd be better for you to ask than struggle for God knows how long before you
Right.
come up with an answer or a solution that actually works.
Right.
There's
Right.
probably somebody out there that you watch on a regular basis that's got like a good system working that works for them. You know what I
Right.
mean?
But
So
it might not work for that person. Like, yeah,
it may not necessarily work for that person, but at least that you have an idea of the
of
route
what
that
to
you
do.
can go
Right.
to.
Right.
So it's like to a certain degree, it's like they started you off. Like, okay, here's some pointers here. It may not be catered to you specifically, but this is the system that more so works in general, and you can tweak it to however you feel is necessary, so it better suits you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially in this day and age of all the access we have on YouTube for far as
Oh
like
yeah,
tutorials and like people constantly already went through the ropes for you, so you can pretty much go do like a shortcut by watching a tutorial and figure it out from there from scratch.
Yeah. Yep.
Like
not only that, a lot of these YouTubers they also have like Instagram or Twitter and anything, so you
Yep.
have a direct line into their messages. It's not like you leaving a comment on
Right.
one of their posts or their the YouTube channel. You can DM them directly.
Right.
Well, that's directly twice. But you guys know what I meant.
Right.
Is
And
you have a legit direct line right into their personal messages. So at some point that they're going to get back to you, and
right.
if they don't, they're a-holes. You should stop watching them.
So yeah, that's why we just feel enough confident. For us, this is actually our very first time actually talking about like our personal experiences, creating the show. We also wanted to take you on like behind the scenes with what it was like creating the show, and hopefully you guys can enjoy us kind of giving you guys some pointers on what to expect when beginning a podcast. Don't, like Angel said, don't be afraid to search and beyond, or ask questions, and don't be afraid. And another thing I have to give is don't be afraid to fail, because I can tell you right now, we failed numerous of times. There's been episodes that haven't been uploaded, audio has been fucked up, video has been fucked up. Yes, like the scheduling has been fucked up, communication has been fucked up. So everything in those lines have been fucked up, but we still managed to get through it. So
I think personally though, as far as scheduling goes, that one can't be helped too much,
right.
because we all have work during
Yeah.
the day or during the night, so we have alternating schedules.
Right.
Like me, for example, I work at a hospital, so and the department that I work at, I don't have necessarily a set schedule.
Right.
Like I have a certain shift that I work, yeah, but I don't work certain days out of the week on a constant basis.
Right.
So one week I might work Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or I might work Monday, Tuesday, and then I come in Thursday because I work the weekend.
Gotcha.
So it's like my schedule is never set.
Yeah, and I would say that's like the most challenging thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because like having like 4 or 5 people part of the established podcast is like trying to embed all of those schedules that they kind of headbutt each other sometimes, and a lot of times a lot of people might not be able to make it.
Right.
And
It's like trying to herd cats.
Right.
Yeah. So, And that was, like I said, don't be afraid to fail, because again, like we've constantly failed, and we're gonna make more fails. But you know, in the long
It's
run,
all part of the process.
yep. As long as you guys stay with it and continue to keep making the show, and if you're having a lot of fun, that's all that matters. I mean, don't put a lot of you can put a lot of thought behind your content, which is fine. But we tend not to do that. We tend to just have fun with it and you know, learn. That's all we're doing on this
And
show.
that's actually a really good point too. I've also heard the phrase like, don't turn your hobbies into a full-time thing, because like, let's say YouTube can be a hobby and it can stay like that, but it's something that you're more so consistent with because that's something you enjoy doing. Even like if it's a few years down the line, you're still doing it and you have hundreds of thousands of followers.
Yeah.
I mean, subscribers on YouTube, but it's still a hobby because it's something that you like to do. Like, I think at that point you could probably make that your full-time thing. And but it's still more so something that you're just, to a certain degree, it's just something simple. You don't have to wake up at the crack of dawn, or or be out working all day. You can just sit in your house, make content, maybe edit a video, upload it, boom, that's your job.
Right.
But at the same time, though, since it started out as a hobby, but since you stayed consistent with it, that it also showed that you also enjoy doing it. So to a certain degree, it's like having a dream job. Like, what kid didn't want to get paid to play games?
Yeah.
Now we have Twitch and YouTube where they're literally
Doing that right
getting
Yeah.
at
paid
all
to play video
times.
games.
Yeah.
That's the exact equivalent to that.
Right.
You're enjoying to do something, and now you can, to a certain degree, you're making a career out of it.
Right.
But
Hey,
the point that I'm making out of it, though, is, yeah, like, it started out as a hobby, but remember that you made it a career. So don't forget that that's a situation, and try not to treat it as if it's just a hobby still,
Right.
when it's not, because that's a source of income now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like before, you probably weren't getting, you weren't getting paid, for whatever thing that you were doing. So that's why you didn't feel like, I don't feel like making a video this week, or, I probably just won't post this month. Like, nah, it's a little bit different now. Now
Yeah.
you have to a certain degree, I would say you have an obligation, but it's more like a job,
Right.
where you just like, okay, now I have to make a video at least this week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be a video every day, because that could be exhausting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it could be like a video every week, or so, whatever the case, whatever schedule works best for you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Just time managing. You just have to manage
So
it
yeah,
better.
time management, but also don't forget that it's not just a hobby anymore.
Right.
and you also want to enjoy the process. That's the most important part.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if you have fun while doing it, while making it, because if you're bored or you're annoyed at the process of editing or making the thumbnails or making a design for the show, it's like then you're like suffering, and you're gonna look at it as a job at that point. But if you enjoy the process, then you're gonna want to always come back to that because you enjoy the whole
The
way of
whole
making
thing.
it, not just
Yeah.
like the product.
Right. I like this. This is really good, guys. So definitely we like to, I hope you guys really took a lot of insight of us kind of just, taking us down memory lane. I thought it was a lot of fun, just creating a show. And I want to continue to make more, more episodes about a lot of different things out there, movies, games, music, even books or anything that can kind of help people. It's not even just about listening to the podcast. I mean, that is the goal for us, but it's also we also want to help you guys as well. Like if we can find something that can kind of help people get through some difficult times in their lives, or even just a learning experience, if we can find something and we'll post a video up, and hopefully we can have that connection with you guys, and you guys learn, or you guys are seeing us as like a way of helping, you know what I mean? And that's a good feeling for us. So as long as you guys give us that energy where we really like the show, and we like that you guys are doing this like these type of contents to help people connect as a community, that's a good feeling for us at the end of the day. So
That is also a feeling that I can put some 2 cents into, because it's like I think my first time being on the podcast. I don't know if that was an episode that made it onto the YouTube channel. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
unfortunately it didn't. Yeah, because
Yeah,
the video.
but in that podcast, I mentioned a book that I'm writing, and to a certain degree, it's just something that I write when the mood hits. But like every once in a blue, I'll have somebody ask me about it. They want to ask certain details, and the more I explain, it's like the feedback that I get is just like, okay, I'm doing something right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like it's that satisfaction that you get. Like, okay, if this person likes it, that person likes it, I'm doing something right. And naturally, it's just like you just have a boost of motivation that you just like, all right, now I want to add some more to it. I want to get back to it and put some grind in.
Right.
So it's the feedback that we can get from you guys that will, to a certain degree, also help motivate us to be like, again, we're doing something right. Whatever it is that we're doing, you guys are enjoying, and it's going to make us want to keep making this content.
Yep.
And speaking of content, Nick, we have to put some more thought into that idea I gave you earlier.
Yeah. I already spoke to Don about it. We're definitely gonna do like an episode on that because I think that was a great idea.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but don't say it because that's why we want the audience to figure out.
No.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't gonna say that. Well,
Yeah.
the reason why I said that is because well, I don't know if you said anything about expanding.
Yeah. No,
Like, in
I
general?
everything you told me,
Okay,
I
then-
related the message to Don and he's with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, because the reason why I brought that idea to you earlier is because you mentioned that you're trying to expand the podcast, have some more topics into it that branch out from the original,
Idea.
like
Yeah.
groups of topics that you would normally cover.
Right.
So I think that's a fantastic idea, and to a certain degree, the reason why no, I wouldn't even say to a certain degree. I just think in general, the reason why I feel like that's a fantastic idea is because the different topics that we can hit, the broader our podcast is going to be, and the more
Exactly.
people it's going to reach.
And that's the point because
there might be certain podcasts that we record that may not cater to certain people, and they're like, I kind of don't want to watch this, or I'm sorry, they'd probably just like, I don't want to listen to this.
right.
But then we have another one out that's more catered to that
Specific genre.
particular person,
Right.
and they're just like, all right, well, I wasn't feeling that last podcast, but this one's more about something that I'm interested into, and they'll want to listen.
Right.
And then us being who we are, which is we're just a band of goofballs.
Yeah.
So not only are we going to give you something to like to listen to that educational wise to a certain degree, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But we're also providing actual comedic entertainment
Exactly.
because of who we are. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's why I think it was a smart idea to begin with. That's why while you was away, we just kind of brought it up on me and Don just kind of brought it up and just thought that it was actually I get that we understand that we're a gaming podcast, but it would be better to kind of branch out to other genres so that way people are not just connected to games, even though most of our content is games, and it seems like a lot of our videos get the most views on about games. But I mean, it's good to still be within the spectrum, but then also it's good to branch out because also we'll still have a fan base within the gaming community, but then also have a fan base within other communities as well, like Don with anime. Definitely we're gonna start doing that pretty soon. Other things, I'm gonna keep it underneath the radar so that way we can surprise you guys. But the anime thing was already we already been out. The anime thing was already out already for us to talk about. So definitely that's why we thought it was such a smart idea to kind of talk about that. So
yeah, just broad brand of who we are.
Yeah.
Outside of even gaming.
For sure.
So definitely,
I actually brought that point up to somebody else before. How you mentioned that you want to broaden that spectrum, but still stay in tune with it.
right.
Because I know somebody that started streaming on Twitch, and they mainly only played Call of Duty, but they, to a certain degree, they wanted to branch out to other games.
Right.
And the advice that I was giving was like, yeah, it's great to have a default game that you can always go back to.
Right.
And I know you'll get a certain following from that particular game, but if you can branch out to other games, that's more of an audience that you can get to, because each individual game has its own following of people.
Right.
Right.
It can be a huge following, or it can be something just small.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that it still has its own particular following. So the more that you can branch out to other games and play different games, the more of an audience that you'll get in general.
Exactly.
And if they liked how if they found you entertaining, or they just liked how much of how the type of streamer that you are just from playing their type of game,
Yeah.
then they're going to watch you more often, even if it's a game that they're not necessarily interested in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So it's the same thing with what we're doing now. Like, yeah, we have a specific set of topics that we cover, but if we branch out, we can, like I mentioned before, we can reach more people that aren't into the specific topics that we originally talked about.
Yeah.
So we'll hit something that more caters to them. So we'll be able to bring in a bigger audience.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's why, like I mentioned, it's a great idea to branch out and hit these different topics, because the impact that it can have on us in the long run.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying it's good that we're having these type of conversations, so that way people can actually have a good understanding of Couch Crunch and what it actually stands for. I mean, it's more than, like I said, it's a general. It's like I said before. Actually, I'm gonna say this again. Like I said on the very first episode, we're all like a sponge, and we're basically just soaking in all type of content, and we're just gonna talk about how we feel about them and have some laughs, because I think when we're all together, I think it's a really fun experience. So again, we hope that you guys are taking all this information in with a grain of salt, and enjoy the experience, because ultimately, out of everything we discussed right now, the number one thing you just have to do is just have fun while doing it. That's it. That's how I look at it. Yeah, Don, I mean, if you wanted to kind of talk about how you feel about technology, I remember you saying that too.
Oh yeah. So I wanted to bring up this idea of what the impact that technology has on people nowadays, especially is it like more of a hindering thing to people, or if it's like something that helps provide people with like peace and like help them build a career off of. Both things can also coexist, of course, obviously.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to go over like the pros and cons of having technology in our society and how it's been, running everybody's lives as of now.
I don't know, man. I think that's such a great question to ask, because it could be really useful and helpful for a lot of people out there.
I know how we can start out.
What's up?
We can use me for an example.
Well, go ahead.
Right before we hit record, I was like, you have to go to the bathroom. But since I'm on Zoom through my phone, I was like, I don't want to go sit on that toilet without my phone. And I feel like just about anybody watching, or just anybody nowadays, can all relate to that they're willing to walk back out that bathroom, pants at their ankles, and waddle themselves back to where they left their phone.
Yeah.
Rather than just sit there.
So he
stare at nothing.
So he has a point. Like, technology can be addicting. Yeah, it could be addicting these days. I mean, pretty much your phone has to be attached to your fucking hip nowadays. It's still such a difficult thing, because I see that it can help a lot of people, and that's like. It depends on what it is, like if they're using the technology for it, right? Like if they're using it to promote themselves, or I mean, let's be honest right now, social media itself, it's like a fucking virus. Like, I don't know, it's like, it's so gripping to you, right? Like you spend way too much time on social media instead of actually making time to do what you have to do. I mean, I think it's very time consuming on social media, but I mean, it depends if you're using technology to advance in, I guess, your career, if you're using it to because nowadays, like, everything is revolving around technology. Like if we're talking about cars, food, even gas itself is being replaced with like electricity and shit like that, like a machine,
or like solar.
Yeah, like it's a crazy subject to really think about, because I mean, it came such a long way, because especially from our era, me and Don, I mean, we're not that old, but we're old enough to see, like, when we were kids, technology was not the greatest. The internet was not, I mean, we still had Google and shit. It was not as advanced as it was now, that literally you can pay bills off of it.
You know, I can
uh,
also attest to that because I'm younger than you guys, but I also grew up with you guys.
Around the same
So
era, yeah.
anything you guys had, because you guys had it, I also had it as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So
but
I could definitely relate to that.
you
Like,
can relate
I
that it's
still
came.
remember. Oh yeah, for sure. Like I still remember we used to have the old VCRs, the
Yeah.
VCR tapes. I still remember we used to have I think it's 2001 Godzilla movie, and while he's in New York,
Yeah, with like the
we had
broke.
that on VHS.
Yeah, with like the broke strip, then they actually used to
Yeah,
skip.
we had that. You know, the real old computers with the big box in the back,
With the fat back.
and then
Yeah.
yep, you're trying to sit there and load something, and then like the loading screen, like it'll load, and then go back one.
Yeah. Yep, the
Yep, I
floppy
remember
disk.
all that.
And then you know, for phones, we used to have flip phones and track phones,
I had one of
because
those. I
you
had
know,
flip phone and track phone.
we had beepers. So I
did not
mean,
have beeper. That's where you got me.
yeah. Well, I was, like I said, I wasn't that much older than you, but I mean, I've held one. My mom kind
Oh yeah,
of, yeah.
like I've held one before, and I've seen what it looks like, but I've never used one.
Yeah, I used it.
So, yeah,
it
that's
was
what I'm saying,
just
you got
it
me
was
beat.
literally just like a way to text, but like it's as long as it
Oh, yeah.
just it comes with like a coordination and shit like that on it. Sometimes I was like, wow. But like I said, going back, it's just, it depends. I feel like it's very I feel like we're depending on it way too much. I would say that's the thing, but it's hard because the future is we're going towards that. I mean, everything is done through the internet
All
nowadays.
over
Like, I
again.
mean, like,
Technology is moving so fast now,
Yeah.
especially everything's advancing at top speed. And it's like because we're like 90s babies, me and Nick. We're like I feel like our generation grew up in the pinnacle of when the internet was like
It
our
wa-
generation grew up with the internet, some of us.
it was a
that
weird
grew up with it.
transition. Yeah, it was a weird transition for us to kind of go through, because we were at the peak of like the old era where, you know, the house phones were still connected to the wall, and we actually had to use house phones to call each other. Emailing was kind of still big for us as well, but then, you know, like I said, things started to really transition. I want to say like maybe 2009, right? Like maybe around that type of era, maybe 7 or 9. I feel like it started to go uphill for technology.
I'd say roughly around between 7 and 9.
Yeah.
That's where it definitely started to kick up.
Right, because I feel like before that, like 7 and 6 and anything before 5 or anything like that, it was not booming. You know what I mean? It wasn't like YouTube wasn't created until 2007. Google wasn't as great as it is now. You can literally Google anything nowadays. I mean, it was still good, but it was not like as much intelligent as it is now.
True.
Uh,
At this point.
Obviously Instagram, none of that shit was around. Facebook, none of that shit was around. So there was really no way for us to really communicate with one another. So, I mean, like I said, it just started to go uphill from there. But to answer your question, like I said, I mean, I believe it depends on how is it being utilized. I feel like if you're spending a lot more, if you're depending on too much technology, I mean, we at this point in time, we have no choice but to rely on it, because our bank accounts is attached to it. We have to pay our cell phone bills. Most of our bills is
GPS.
through most of GPS. Most of our resources, we have to rely on it, unfortunately. But if you have a choice to not spend too much time on, like, if you like social media or like just being on the phone, if you have a choice to just kind of back off just a little bit, because it is good to kind of get away from technology just a little bit, just because it's good to get that traditional feel of what it's like, even if you were to go like kind of hunting, You know what I mean? Or go back in the days and kind of teach yourself how to create a campfire or some shit like that with two fucking rocks. You know what I mean? Like it's always good to kind of have that experience in your belt to not rely on technology as much. Is it shitty? Yes, because obviously in our generation and even the younger generation before, I mean after us, they don't even know what it's like to have technology.
Yeah.
You know,
And to the point of like that, it's like, I mean, you could still work around with even not even having this kind of technology. Like for instance, like GPS, you could still use a map like a regular handheld map, a paper map, and
right?
still get around pretty well. But it's like I feel like technology nowadays it makes things easier, and that's what people are like falling back on is like going a
The
more lazier
simplicity of
route
it.
of like doing less, brain power. At this point, it's like people don't even memorize their family phone numbers or anybody's phone numbers or how to get around
Oh
without it.
yeah.
That's more reliable
And
than
I,
anything
I know this is
nowadays. It's
way
like,
I know this is way off course, but did anyone ever try to use a phone book? That was a thing.
No.
That was a thing.
yeah,
That
it's,
was a thing.
Last time I saw a phone book, Sandy Cheeks ripped it in half in this one episode of SpongeBob. That was the last time I probably saw a phone book.
Which is impressive because those things are thick.
They're like this. They have like everybody in the neighborhood's phone number.
And that was the creepy part too. Like I know we're going way off course, but it was like how did you get like how did they get the people's
Right, like how'd you
numbers?
find my number? Is this where these telemarketers are getting my number from?
Right. Like what if you don't want that person calling your fucking house? Like I don't.
yeah, it's like it's all of it's already documented. It just that's another thing too with technology now. You can be surveillance more now than ever. Like nothing's private anymore, especially with social media. It's like all your information is out there, and it's like it's more accessible than any time ever in time. And it's like even like with Google, like Google can trace like if you buy something online, it traces like all your habits and it'll throw advertisements at you depending on like stuff you like to buy, and it picks up on the technology picks up on
I
the
guess
stuff
on
you
one
like.
hand that works out though.
Yeah. On one hand it does, but on the other hand it's like then they get to pick up your data and they really it really starts to get creepy because they start to really take advantage of it and then they shove things down your throat that you really don't want at a point. It's like, damn, where does it stop from your privacy and what does it, the things that you really do want out of the advertisement?
I have no idea, man. I think it's nearly going to be impossible for us to stop because it's just going to keep continuing.
Hey, you guys remember the old movie Wally?
Yeah,
I feel like we're heading in that direction.
that's what I'm saying. Like I
We're
feel
just gonna
like
be confined to a chair
yeah,
for for the rest of the next 20
I don't
years.
I don't know, Don. To answer your question, I have no idea. I think it's just going to continue and probably even get worse. Like who
Yeah.
knows?
I mean, to the point of like I seen recently that Elon Musk been working on this device for a couple of years. It's like a chip. You always see this in sci-fi
You mean the
movies
one
and
that he's been saying that he wants to implant in people's brains and shit?
yeah, to like inhabit like people with disabilities or bad functions. He's been testing
I'm,
this out on like pigs and monkeys as of lately, and it's
I'm gonna
actually
be
working.
100% with honest with you guys. The second you said chip in somebody's brain, the first thing that popped up into my mind was carry out order 66. Like, oh my god, I don't know why that was the first thing that popped out.
You're an idiot.
Order 66. They're just like turn into robots and just go on a killing spree.
You're an idiot.
Like some Terminator shit.
That that
It's
that was
like
a good one.
how far how far is it gonna go to like I can really easily see that too, like him putting like chips in people's head for them to easily access like a GPS in your head or a easier way to navigate through life. It's
I mean,
like
maybe we can. I don't know, man. Maybe we can have cell phones implanted in our brains at that point.
yeah, it's probably not going to have smartphones anymore. We're probably just going to have like holograms in our
You know
eyes.
what I'm waiting for? I feel like we've all seen movies like this where like our the advancements in robotics has increased to an unbelievable extent that in certain movies that they're having androids walking around that look just like me and you that you can't even tell the difference. What's this show called? I think it's called Not. I think it's Being Human or something like that. Where there's like
I
these
swear I heard that
special
show before.
androids.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's special androids that aren't like the other ones where they can actually think for themselves and they can whereas the other androids like what they the way that they are is like you can power them down to charge them, but like I said, they're built just like us. They move around fluidly like we do. They don't seem like robotic in their movements or anything like that. But these particular robots is like if you want them to shut down, they can be like, well, I don't want to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
I feel like at
sentient.
some point we're going to get to that point. That I feel like in our lifetime we might get to that point. Whether
Yeah.
it's like 60, 70 years from now,
Right.
we feel like we could probably hit that.
Like I don't
The,
know. I don't know if you guys seen it to that point. It's just actually this Android out right now that they've been working on for a couple years now. It's called Sophie, and
yep.
it literally can talk back to you and everything and have a straight on conversation through no controls. It's just going through a wired system that's been programmed
Is it
through
does it
the.
does it look like that?
Yep.
Does it look like that robot that I showed you on that Megan movie in 2023? You know that toy thing. You know that toy thing I mentioned. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that dog.
Yeah, let's
Thing.
go. Let's go ahead and show Angel. Angel's gonna be like, that thing looks freaky. Like where?
No,
Yeah, but
it doesn't look like
that's what I
that.
mean though.
It has like a missing head. I mean, the back of his head is missing, but you can see like the inside of the wires and everything, how it operates.
Like I'm gonna show Don. I'm gonna show Angel this, and he's gonna be like, whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
after
that's
that,
what I
look
mean
up.
though. Is like
Sophie.
that's like that system that's in their head now that's helping that android like talk back to you and everything. I oh
Look at that.
okay.
That's a toy, bro. That's a toy, and that shit. Look how
That's
real they look.
that's rather creepy. But like I said, since they we're saying that that's what that those android that particular android has in its system now that helps it communicate back to us without being controlled. And if you think about it, that technology that they have in there now, it's only going to improve. It's not going to get worse. It's not going to stay steady where it's at. It's just going to get leaps and bounds more advanced as time goes on, to the
Yeah,
point where it doesn't even sound like you're talking to a robot anymore. It just sounds like you're talking to an actual person. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
that's the crazy one too. That they already have like AI that's like on your computer that they can make imitate people's voices that can like deep fake their voice and it sounds exactly like a person. Like they did that with Obama. Like it's a program where you can take anybody's voice and you can pretty much type in anything and it can translate from that person's voice inflections and it imitate everything like they're saying it, but it's like obviously an AI
I'll be honest. I
system.
Yeah.
don't know how I feel about that. Because like,
I
what happens if like let's say you leave. I guess it can be like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You got your laptop or computer on, and you do something like that, or like there's like a delay, and you walk away, and you just hear some random voice back in your room. You're like, what the hell is that? Is somebody in my house?
right.
Like I don't know how I feel about that.
I
That might
remember
be have me tripping out.
I remember seeing a couple of things on that on like articles and stuff like that on Twitter, because I think Twitter has like a lot of bots nowadays. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
just kind of like even if you see like the little blue check mark that's supposed to be an indicator that that's a real person, but in reality it might not be. It's a bot, and even the bots are
even
kind of like arguing with each other and shit.
yeah, even Instagram has them too, or like I know for sure it's happened to me. Like I remember specifically. I don't know if it's happened to you guys, but I know it's happened to my coworker's 9-year-old son,
Oh,
Oh no.
where it's like a robot that's sending you like an actual text message, not through Instagram, not Twitter, like your actual phone number. They're sending you messages,
oh shit.
but you can tell that it's a bot because like it'll say something and you'll respond, and then it'll have a response as if you didn't say that. It has a response as if you went along with what they said, no matter what you said. And then it'll keep progressing in your messages as if you're responding the way it wants you to respond.
Right.
And I can't say about my situation, but I know for my coworker's 9-year-old son that it happened to, this bot sent him a photo of like this chick that was borderline topless,
Oh
but like
yeah.
you can see everything because it was like fishnet. And luckily, she had the phone or the tablet, and he didn't because she took it
Uh-huh.
from him before like she started sending him pictures. But it was still like that's not good that they that's a thing because like I said, that was a 9-year-old's tablet. That
Yeah,
wasn't an adult. That's a 9-year-old is getting that.
and it's horrible because
And
it's like on every social media outlet now that you can find these
exactly, but that's
bots.
my point. That's but the point that I'm making that makes it worse is that it wasn't even on a social media like platform. It was like direct message, like
Oh
as if like
shit.
I typed in your phone number on my phone and sent you a message.
That's
That's
great,
horrible.
bro. That blows my
That's what yeah,
brains.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. And like, again, that's what I'm saying. That was a 9-year-old's tablet that happened to. And I know it's
Uh,
happened to me before, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's happened to you guys,
oh
but
yeah,
I know
Yeah.
that's a thing.
it's even a thing on PlayStation. Like you'll be on your
Oh
PlayStation,
yeah,
get like a
oh yeah, I
random
remember that.
message from a bot, and somehow they got your username and everything. I'm like, how the hell does this happen?
Is bots taking over the planet? We have no idea.
I
I
robot all
think I
over
think
again.
hackers are just so easily able to access your shit nowadays. That's why I'm like, I don't like the advertisement thing where you
Dude,
can
you ever
easily.
seen those?
And if you can hide in a cave, you would love to do that away from technology.
No, on one hand, I love technology. I want to see the future progress, but I don't want it to be on the hands of our
Going,
privacy being
you
to,
mean like
But
going in
imagine
the wrong
having like your
hands?
own Android though.
yeah.
Imagine having having your own Android that's just like sitting there, but just talks like
I
me and you. But
Nah, I
no, no,
can't.
no. Hear me out. Hear me out. But it's like yeah, you have your own. You have your own Android, but it's not like it's just sitting there to assist you like a Siri would. It's like let's say you go to work, come back, your entire house is clean, all the chores are done, food is cooking on the stove, like that type of Android. Like it's actually helping you, and not some like on some iRobot thing
I was gonna
where
say
they
I.
develop new androids, but they end up hurting people. Nah, it's like the older androids that have a system locked into their their core where they have to follow rules like three specific rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
To a certain degree, like it is in iRobot with the older androids,
that would be
but
cool.
they
But
look more advanced, like we do,
that looks
if that makes sense.
it would be cool. But I seen iRobot and I just wouldn't trust it after a while.
I can't.
I don't even trust my Google Play right now or Alexa. It's like
To have
those
a
things.
right just to think like there's something standing. What if the thing doesn't sleep? So imagine if you're just going to bed at night, like it's just gonna watch you sleep. You feel comfortable with that?
I mean, when you put them like that,
Or
Oh God,
I mean,
that
but who's to say that you can't like turn it down? I mean, have it shut down and and charge for the
I
night.
don't. But what if there isn't? What if there isn't a feature? What if it
Be like,
just
yo, listen, I need you to go sit on that couch. I'm gonna close my bedroom door, but I need you to sit on that
sucks.
couch until I wake up in the morning, or just set an alarm for this time in the morning. So if I don't wake up from my alarm on my phone, I need you to walk in this room and just tap me like, hey, it's time for you to get up.
right?
But other than that, I need you to stay out there. You know what
Right.
I
I
mean?
was gonna say, imagine if it just watches you sleep, or the first minute you wake up, you look at your phone, and then you look at the door, and you notice that the crack, like it was cracked open, and he's just staring through the crack.
That's creepy. No, no, no. See that one is creepy. But that you know what that reminds me of? You ever been like
It's not gonna.
you ever like get ready to go to sleep at night, but and all the lights are out, but there's like a certain particular like light or whatever the case is in your room that
Yeah.
your eyes will adjust to so you can see everything,
Yeah.
but then you realize on in the corner of your room, your closet door is cracked open, and you just see straight black, and you just get this overwhelming feeling like yo somebody's staring at me.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
There's something wrong.
That
Um.
is what you just reminded me of. So thank you for the lack of sleep that I'm gonna get tonight.
Sorry.
Really appreciate
Enjoy that,
that.
my friend.
Or even we don't even have to take it that far. Like even socially, like people that are lonely on the internet that want to seek out friends and friendships online through different social media outlets. Like some
Oh
people
yeah.
bully people online, and unfortunately, it causes people to take their own lives from being bullied or not being liked online. It's like it's like the social dilemma how it was back in school, who is not the most popular, or your opinion is not adapted to the crowd, so the angry mob comes after you, and then they just keep on bullying you, and it's sad to see, and there's a lot of teenagers and young kids that's online that get harassed and abused online, and it's a
Yeah.
shame.
No, it sucks. Yeah.
But on the other hand, you can also make a lot of friends, that people that are lonely online, they can make friends online and discover like a whole new things that they never would have discovered without the internet. So it's like
Right. That's what I was
a
saying.
double-ended sword,
Right.
you know.
I know this is way off topic, but did you happen to see did any of you guys happen to see that what is it, NASA tapped into the robot, it's like a fucking I don't know the proper term, but like the robot that they
I
have
thought you was about
stationed.
to say NASA tapped into incognito mode on Google. I was about to
No,
lose my
it tapped
shit.
into like one of the
I'm joking.
drone that's stationed at Mars, and they happen to find like a doorway in Mars.
Oh yeah, I've seen that on
No,
Yahoo.
I
Yeah,
did not
you
actually.
didn't see that? Yeah,
No,
yeah,
sir.
people, yeah, and then the other one too. I don't know if you've seen that too, Don, where even the Breakfast Club actually mentioned, they seen they were just saying like they did a whole video because I guess like they spotted the government was just speculating that they seen like a flying saucer. So a lot of people are like getting into the the beliefs that again it's starting to blow up again with aliens being true. So I mean,
Oh
do
yeah,
I do
he's
I
always
I feel
around.
like personally
So
though, I feel like the whole extraterrestrial thing, I feel like that is a topic that we can make a whole just one video dedicated to,
oh
because
yeah,
that
that's
could
I
the
be
know
a
whole
topic
oh believe
that
me
could be
I could.
open to suggestion for a
Dude,
while.
we actually might actually just do an entire episode because I can get into that for hours because
FBI,
I
open
believe
up. That's all I'm hearing right now.
huh
We're in the middle of having that podcast. Just FBI, open up.
I
Gone.
I would just
we opened our mouth.
I would literally tell them like I believe in it. I believe in because if for 1 second if you happen to think that we are the only living beings and besides animals and creatures in the water and and just
It's
parrots.
not even that. It's just like there's the number of planets out there. We don't even have a number
Exactly.
to describe that many planets that are out there, along with their own solar systems, their own galaxies, their own universes.
Exactly.
And to think that we're the only anomaly in all of that vastness of space.
Right. And we claim to
It's
say
ridiculous.
that we claim to say that I mean I don't say we claim, but I think that a lot of us think that we're like the smartest beings in the planet. And I don't believe that, not for a
We
bit.
can there's many cases of the human species or just individuals being outsmarted by just random animals out there. And it's not only that, it's also to the point where like there's only certain people that that are kind of like in that moment where they can survive. If you take an everyday person, like let's say we walk out into Philly right now, grab some random dude off the street, like, hey, listen, we'll pay you X amount of money if you go out into the woods or the forest over here and stay out there for a week. Or 2 weeks or something like that. He's not going to be able to survive.
He's not.
He doesn't have that type of training. He's going to eat something poison.
Yeah.
Or he's not going to be able to build himself a shelter. There's people that are trained to do that. So if they go out in situations like that, they're fine.
Yeah, because people are so reliant nowadays on technology, especially.
That's exactly. It's the only thing that have us like propped up on this pedestal is the fact of the technology that we have that aids us and basically taking care of everything for us and our weapons. If it's not for those two things, you take that away from us and throw us into the wild.
Don doesn't win.
We get knocked right to the bottom of the food chain.
Don does not want to get off the technology.
I mean, this was the topic was.
Yeah, no. I know, but I just like how that was like a good transition to like slip in there. He was like, yeah, and the technology.
No, because that's the thing too. Like people don't even know
No, it
That
is.
does fall in line with that conversation, though.
Yeah, no, it does.
Because if like Don said, if you take away that technology that we have and take away our weapons, and you throw us into a forest like that, we come from top of the food chain straight to the bottom. Because
Yeah,
as
we
far
can
as survivability goes, we have no claws, we have no fangs, we have no fur, none of that. We're not necessarily fast. We're not that strong compared to the other animals out there. So almost anything out there can take us out in like a second. Take a jaguar for example. For starters, you won't see it coming, and when you do, and then when you do, it gets to that point where it's on top of you. You don't have to worry about anything because it'll be over just like that.
right. To
But
that,
by the time you realize it's on top of you, you're dead already.
yeah, and to that point is like, imagine if all the power in every city in the United States went out right now. Like, how will we don't have a lot of the people in inner cities don't have generators to power their systems. We don't have like water.
Yeah,
Uh,
but we don't have fail safes like that to compensate for something like that did happen. Like
right.
if our grid goes down, anything could happen. It's basically free game for
Yeah,
anybody outside the country or people inside the country that just wants to be a-holes and wreck their own country.
the only people that have an advantage is people that live out off the grid, like people that live in the south, or people that are used to making their own farm and their own food
Yeah, or
system.
just or people that just live out in the woods that built their own hut and they live off the land and stuff like that. They're the people that'll be just fine. People
Yeah,
like us, everyday people, that we can't say too much about that.
yeah, it's like we have a disadvantage when it comes to that, and that's the one cons when it comes to technology, especially because we're so reliant on it, and we take for granted that one day, who knows, like something, our power outage might go out forever, and all the power plants fuck up. You just never know. So I think it's
If
always
I'm
good to
being
have
honest though,
things.
if I'm being honest on that topic though, what I can say for sure is that the human race will adjust to not having said technology or anything like that. We can adjust.
Yeah,
However, the problem with that is that the time that it will take for the adjustment period to
yeah,
run its course to the point where we can actually we have a system going, we're comfortable with it, everybody knows the system now. It's like we have this technology again. We're at that point of living now. So
right.
it'll get to a point where like if we did run out of stuff like that, there's definitely going to be people that are for to be I guess PG-13 got knocked off the census.
Yeah,
They got subtracted. Right? There's going to be plenty of people like maybe a few dozen, maybe a couple hundred, a few thousand, hundreds of thousands. We don't know. But what I can tell you is that if that grid did drop off and we just didn't have it anymore, we're going to lose plenty of lives because there's certain people that aren't going to be able to adjust to the new lifestyle that we have to reacquaint ourselves with.
and let's be real. A good example of that was 2020. Look what happened. Like even something similar as that. Like you see how crazy people went for just one
Their
year. Like
brightest idea was we're going to stock up on all the toilet paper. Whose idea was that?
Pfizer, like the
And the
fucking
meat.
two.
Nobody
I can
nobody
understand the
thought
meat. I can
food. It was just
Yeah, I can understand the
toilet
food.
paper.
Yeah, I don't get the toilet paper. That
No,
burst my brain.
there was a video or post on Instagram where it was like they were looking down the aisles and it was just like some of these aisles still had plenty of food in it, but all the toilet paper was gone.
Yeah,
If you have nothing to eat, you have no reason to use toilet paper.
right. That's fucked
Like
up. No, that
if there's anything to stock up on when it comes to emergencies like that, it's canned food because
Yeah,
as far as I know, that doesn't have an expiration date. I mean, like depending on what it is, of course, but like for the most part, canned food will last you a while before it actually does go bad.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
did you see
But
how much?
canned food, dry food, water, that's like your necessities right there. And then you have the next basic stuff like flashlights, all that other goodness, all that good stuff. But
And
toilet
it's sad,
paper,
yeah, and it's sad to say, like you see how many people went homeless. People are still homeless now in like LA and New York that was so reliant on stuff like that that they lost out on their jobs, and it's sad. It's like people are so reliant on stuff like that nowadays. It's like they don't want to learn outside of their smartphone.
Yeah, it's like people are so set in their ways that they can't adjust, and by the
Yeah,
time they do try and adjust, it's already too late.
Yeah.
yeah.
These are all great ideas. I like this. This is
It's
a
all I'm saying is it's good to have balance. It's a lot of technology can help in a lot of ways, but also at the same time it can also hinder you. That's all I'm saying. It's like
yeah. I could see that though. Um, but let's talk about aliens now.
extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
Who knows? People always question like who build the pyramids and all that in Egypt.
You know, I'll be honest. I feel like
They've been on
there's
this
a
planet, man.
comedian. There's a comedian out there named Andrew Scholes, I believe, and the joke is that Mexicans are such great workers. He's like, there's pyramids in Mexico. Nobody questions who built them.
Yeah,
But the second that there's they're like the ones in Egypt, they're like, oh, who made these? It must have been aliens.
all right.
So that was the joke, and I personally found that kind of funny if I'm being honest with you guys.
I would be
But
laughing
it
too.
was just yeah,
I
but
mean, it
it's
was
like
known
when
as
you
Egypt
yeah
back
like
then.
when you do know more about the Egyptian pyramids, it's like then it's like you start to question like if you think about it like as far as the technology goes to a certain degree it's primitive in as far as like I said, as far as technology is concerned, but the ideas that they ran with for its construction, that is the part that's highly advanced.
Yeah,
Like if we try to replicate that and do everything that they did, we wouldn't be able to do that now.
yeah. But to that point too, like back then, where they didn't have their imagination is like way better than ours back then too, because they didn't have anything. I seen like a study is like when you put like a regular human being first born somewhere, they will adapt to their environment and they will like come up with things. The brain is really powerful when you have like the least things to rely on. So you start to come up with things. Your imagination goes unlimited. It's like
Yeah,
so I'm more
it's the
sure to come up with a
there's
way.
actually I know a situation like that. There's a show on Netflix called Car Masters, Rust to Riches. And the main mechanic of that shop, he mentioned as a kid, growing up, they couldn't afford to buy toys. So what he would do to compensate for that is that he would build his own. He would
Mm,
make his toys out of anything. But
yeah,
it also got him to a point where he genuinely enjoyed doing that, and the imagination that he got out of it, he made a career out of that. So
yeah.
now he's buying old rusty cars and turning them into these crazy hot rods that he's selling for thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh,
You know what I mean? So it's like let's like yeah, you can if they start out with not much or nothing at all, what
right.
the imagination that they can build from that is like you said, insane. It's insurmountable. You know what I
A-
mean? So
Another,
it would only make sense as to how the Egyptians back then were able to build their pyramid to
right.
compensate for the lack of technology that we have now.
Yeah, even now, like another example is like people in jail. The people are like able to make all kinds of weapons in jail somehow, like with just like a toothbrush, just like while sawing on the floor, or even like a tattoo machine. Like I seen this one story with this prisoner. He was describing how he made like a tattoo machine inside jail. He just took like a rubber band, and yeah, and like a pen, put the ink inside this shit, and he took a tube, and then he was able to make a tattoo machine by just making it from like simple shit he found around in the jail cell
What
or
the
like
I'll be
food.
honest. I don't
fuck?
know if I would want a tattoo by that. I
What?
don't. I don't know if I would be like. He like, hey man, you want this tat? I'm like, no,
Yeah,
I
you get
don't
all
trust
kinds of
that.
affections, but
I'm alright.
I believe in aliens.
Then he'll probably like it'll probably be a situation where you need like a nice curve and it's like a box. I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't want that.
Well,
but the fact that it's possible is crazy.
I'm gonna
It's
do
Oh
a
like
yeah,
whole
definitely.
I'm gonna do a whole episode on aliens because I believe in them and I believe like we're not the only beings in the planet. I
oh
believe
yeah,
that
that'd be a good topic.
they've been here way before our time and we're just taking up space in the corner of the box.
I mean, think about it. you see the sun we have, right? Like every dot you see in the sky, those are each suns. All the stars are suns, so they providing a solar system in within themselves. So they're providing a sunlight for each planet out there. So that's crazy. To think that we're the only ones here, it's like, come on now.
Right. But a lot of people don't like talking about stuff like this because they get really like anxious and scared because they don't want to think like we're the only things out there. And it's
I mean, like on one hand, like yeah, it can definitely be scary because like what happens if like let's say worst case, there's a situation where we try and make contact, but what ends up happening is they come down to basically trying to exterminate the human race as a whole.
we just have to
There's that
accept that.
situation.
It's fucked up as it is, but we
Yeah,
probably would just have
it's
to
like
accept it because we probably won't have the right amount of fire weapons to go against their technology. Their
I mean
technology is
to be
probably
honest, like it'll kind of be like what's the movie called Battle Los Angeles. It could be a situation like that where we're so overwhelmed by their technology that we're dropping like flies left and right. But it
right.
also falls in line with what I mentioned before is that it'll be to a point where we're dropping like flies in the beginning, but at some point we will adjust and we can come back. But as far as like the firepower goes on our end, I've done like there's this one guy on TikTok and YouTube called the Fat Electrician. He's former military. He has his own thing going on, and he has a lot of insight as far as the military goes, the different branches, different equipment that they have, different weapons, transportation, the different types of transportation that they have, like the planes, helicopters, jets, and all that. It's very informative, and a lot of it is
Mm.
extremely accurate as well. And basically, what I'm getting out of this is not only is our military actually insane, the weapons we have are absolutely ridiculous.
Oh yeah. Like
Like
some
that
people
that
mistake for the jets that the military have for UFOs and stuff like that. It's a lot of
there,
cases
we
people think
I
like
think it's
jets
called
are
what's it called? I think it's called the Black Hawk or the Blackbird.
right.
It's
Yeah, I
it's
heard.
it's the
I
it's
seen
our
that before.
fastest jet that we have. And to give you guys an idea, on paper or just what they're willing to tell you is that
Right.
jet can fly up to I think what did it say 2,400 miles an hour.
Shit.
And like I said, that's just what they're willing to tell you. But
It,
again, the Fat Electrician guy, he mentioned that he's talked to people who's piloted that, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, no, I've gone way faster than that."
hmm. You said the
It's
black. You
insane.
said the
So like I said,
blackbird.
it's just
That kind of that.
I think it's called it's either the Black Hawk or the Blackbird. But this thing
I
is
hope.
like
I hope it's.
reaching
I hope it's
supersonic
called the Black
speeds.
Hawk because the Blackbird is in X Men.
I mean, basically, no, it actually looks like the Blackbird though.
Oh, like an X Men.
Like, yeah, it actually looks like it.
Oh, that's
Like
cool.
if you look at X Men First Class, it looks similar.
Let's take a look at it now. Never heard of it till now.
Yeah,
You're
but
welcome.
there's been a lot of cases of people catching like UFOs on film, but it's they later on found out that they're actually like military jets or some kind of military missile or whatever. It
Or
gets
that's just what the military is just telling you to
right.
make you be like, oh, okay, never mind. We don't know. Like
I see
that,
the thing now is
because
like the people on the news they're like, oh yeah, UFOs do exist, but it probably is like a new military.
that's what they tell you. A
Eh,
lot of times they tell you like, oh, it's just nothing, but that's just the government trying to keep you quiet.
No, Angel might be on this on the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird. The Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird is the fastest jet aircraft in the world, reaching speed of Mach 3.3.
Mock.
Mach 3.3. It's really far. That's more than 3,500 kilometers at 2,100 miles per hour. Woo!
And like I said, he's talked to people who actually piloted that aircraft,
Look at that
and they
thing,
have
man.
said, yeah, and they've said that they've gone way faster. And to be honest with you, that is actually made out of I believe it's that. If not, then it's the stealth bomber. But it's made out of a specific material, so it can reach said heights. I mean, said speeds, and it has certain what's the phrase? And then it has certain fuel out of it to the point.
Damn.
Like I said, I don't know if I'm confusing the Blackbird or if it's the stealth bomber, but it's non-flammable. So like you can put your cigarette out on it and nothing will happen. Like it won't burst into flames,
It,
nothing like that.
dude, it legit looks like the jet from X-Men. That's fucking crazy.
And
It's probably faster than it.
you know what's
Or
interesting
they could have
about that?
based it off of that too.
About that though, it's like a lot of people that spot UFO sightings, they also say it's like in that very same shape. It's like a triangle and it has like 3 lights under it. So I think a lot of people are getting mixed up with that, or like something similar to.
It's crazy because a lot of people actually have like different experiences with extraterrestrial because there's I remember Chester Bennington, God rest his soul. I remember he did an interview with him, I think in Illinois or something like that. He was actually staying with a friend, and he said in the interview that he seen like lights blinking and shit, and then it just shot back out in the sky. Where Charlemagne, he said he'd seen extraterrestrial like in his bed and stuff like that. Like I remember something like that. I don't want to put words in his mouth or if I'm not accurate, but a lot of people had like a lot of experiences with crazy
I
things out
actually have a
there.
confession to make. I don't know how true this is, if it actually happened, but I'm pretty sure of what I saw. But this one day, it was like maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon, give or take. I'm driving back from the gas station with a friend. And, I'm sitting in the passenger seat because I wasn't driving my car. I left my car at his house. But we're driving back, and something told me just to. I don't know. I always have like this innate instinct just to look out the window if I'm not driving. So I was looking out the window, and something caught my attention from like up, and I look up, and the color I saw was more like of a teal type of color, but it was like kind of. This is gonna sound retarded.
Nothing on
Like
this show is retarded.
it was like it almost looked like teal pixels were falling from it, like sparks.
Oh,
That's interesting.
Something like that. But it's like it was like it looked like it was flying for a second. I blinked and then looked at him, went to look back, it was gone.
Oh shit.
I'm like, and then I mentioned it to him and he's just like, nah, Chief, you're just tripping. I'm like,
nah. I
I was
believe
like, listen,
yeah,
man, I know what I saw, but
right.
It's always like right when you say, "Oh, well, I know what I saw." That's when people are like, "Nah, you're just crazy."
That's why as long as you believe that it's real, who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
I think the craziest part about it is like it was there, looked out over him, looked back, gone, and that was like maybe a second and a half time frame between. Hey man, let's just boom. I'm
gone.
like, oh,
right.
Now I'm just gonna seem crazy.
That's crazy. No, I don't think you're crazy. I fully believe you, and I believe like you really saw something up there, and it just
there's actually I don't know if it's still on there. They probably took it down, but there was this I think it was like a document. It was a documentary on Netflix about this guy who used to work for NASA. And he actually came clean about the whole extraterrestrials being real, and the government's response to that was making it seem like he never existed.
Yeah,
They erased every trace of him. They deleted his social security number. They got rid of
I'm guessing every transaction he's ever made in his life.
That ever had to do with him as far as transactions goes or leaving a digital footprint, gone. It's like he never existed.
That's crazy.
But he's had interviews where he was talking about all this. So it's like these videos can probably I think they were talking about that on the documentary series on or I think it was just a plain documentary or if it was a docu-series, but it was on Netflix. And I forget the name, but I think it started out with the guy's name, the guy's actual name in the title. But it's like he was talking about the whole thing, how it started out, how it was going, when he discovered it, how when he wanted to come bring it to those people's attention, how they reacted to it, and then it was like they were trying to, I guess, to a certain degree, kidnap him. It started out with them threatening him to keep his mouth shut. Like, and when I say them, I mean the government.
Yeah,
and we all know that we have a very powerful government.
We don't mess with those guys.
And it started out with them threatening him so that he wouldn't release any of the information that he discovered. But then he did it anyway, and then that's when they was like, all right, we're wiping this guy's digital footprint off the grid. We're gonna make it look like this guy never existed.
Yeah,
But
did this guy even have a family? Like,
that's what I was about to say. That's when it gets hazed, because he had a wife, and I think he had a kid or kids, and it's just like, how can you make them seem like they just never existed when there's people out there that know this guy, or they're related to him, or they're married to him, whatever the case is. It's just like,
so even them too? Like, that's crazy.
That is that much. I don't know.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say, like, dude, that's fucking, like, that's nuts. What?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Is like the power that our government actually has to make it seem like you
never existed.
It's insane.
Yo, right?
Just because you were giving
not even
information,
right?
Yeah, they got all that.
Yeah.
But it's just like the fact that they went to that extent to get to put him away or to shut him up goes to show that
he really knew something
that they already knew.
Yeah, no, he must have known something crazy that he did not want the people to know about. That's crazy.
I mean,
but then it's also like, it's also creepy too, because it's like, if that was their response to it, then that just goes to show that they have
something to hide. Yeah,
they already know all of this. Yeah. So if that's the case, and then like, not only that, is like, there's the amount of people that have claimed to see a UFO is insane. You can't call every single one of them like, nah, that's just a hoax. Oh, that's fake. Oh, you didn't see anything. Like, you can't just silence hundreds of people, or thousands and thousands of people that have seen the same thing. And the fact that they're describing the exact same thing with something similar, so that it's signifying like it's the same thing more or less.
Yeah,
I think there's hieroglyphs of them too, like where they talk about like a ring of fire in the air, which is basically their turbines, that are helping them, their ship maneuver and everything. But seeing how they're more so primitive as far as technology goes, what they're just gonna think is it's fire. It's a ring of fire coming from the heavens or something. So it's like, even they're talking about them too. You know what I mean?
It's even like cases, of people seeing stuff like that can be easily debunked, but it's also cases that should seriously be looked into and further investigated. We should always be.
There's people out there that can probably like, forge that and make it look, and try and make it look real out of nothing, just for some clout or just from some whatever they want to call it. But then there's people out there who have actually seen one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's what I hate too. Like some people that make fake videos of UFOs on YouTube or whatever. Like they bury the possibility of real footage coming out, because everybody's just gonna see it as fake shit because that one person faked it, or a bunch of people are just trying to.
That same analogy was also used while I was at work a few days ago, because we were talking about the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp defamation trial.
And we'll save that for another episode. We're gonna. I can't wait. Yeah,
I'm not going into detail with that one. But when we were mentioning that, one of the coworkers was like, "This whole trial is ridiculous because it's like, we all know that she's faking and she's lying. It's at a point now where it's extremely obvious, and it's like, why are you still trying? We know you're lying. We know you're faking." But it's like, you're going through this level of extent when there's actually people out there that are going through domestic abuse and they're dealing with it now, but you're holding up all these other people.
She beat him the fuck up, man. That's all it is, and
there's not one shred of evidence of him ever laying his hands on her.
Ever. Again, and he wears a lot of rings. He wears a lot of rings, and people don't understand. Like, if he wears a ring, they're like
holes in her story that don't line up, that they don't make sense. Yeah. Oh, he beat me repeatedly with his rings. I mean, with his hands, but she also acknowledged she's never known him to beat without his rings. But then she beat him to a point where she lost track of how many times he hit her.
The best thing about it,
why are there no medical records?
The best thing.
I didn't think I needed I didn't think I needed medical attention for it at the time.
The best.
Well, what about the case when he violated you with the bottle and it broke while I was inside you?
The best thing about it,
quote unquote, saw blood. No medical records because you didn't need to see a doctor.
The best thing about it is that she became the shit lady.
Yeah, Amber Turd. like
I
the
mean, you
fact
can
that
easily
she
dispute this by saying, if the genders were switched around, this case would have been ended. Like if it was a band,
immediately.
are you kidding me? This shit would have been over by now.
Then the funny,
But since
I'm
it's
gonna go
woman-
off camera real quick. I have to put my phone on the charger.
No, you're good.
But it's I think the main problem with that is the fact that this whole case wasn't even just because of the domestic. I wouldn't even say just the domestic abuse. It was more so just because they're just trying to prove on whether or not that the op-ed that she wrote has any truth behind it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because she wrote an op-ed that went into the newsletters and
Excuse
everything,
me.
basically telling everybody. I don't know if that is that okay for you guys?
No, yeah, you're good. Well, I mean, you're like upside down for a second. You're kind of weird looking now.
Wait, so should I rotate it? The
Rotate
opposite
it up.
direction?
Yeah, put it back up.
Okay.
There
Like
we go.
this?
Yeah, that's better.
Oh crap!
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to hold my phone.
Yeah.
I'll just hold it.
It's all right. We're getting ready to
but-
wrap up anyway.
Let's go. But it's more so that because she wrote the op-ed, but she's claiming that she didn't, which I'm about to get to in a second. We're gonna roll back to that. She wrote the op-ed that she claims that she didn't, and it was catered. It was written as to a point that it's directed at Johnny, that he's the one that abused her, and he's suing her for that. He sued her for $50 million.
Yeah, he sold her for
And-
defamation, right? Because she wrote like a letter.
But that's the whole trial. He's trying to prove that his innocence, that he never did it.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is
Even her lawyer was giving up, right?
And-
Like her lawyer was like,
because they know they're fighting a losing battle, and to add insult to injury is that some of Amber's evidence that she that she brought in, it works against her. Her own evidence that she gave them works more in Johnny's favor than her own, but it was her evidence, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
then it's like the whole point of the matter is that she's claiming that she never wrote it, but but that's what he's suing her for that she wrote it, but she's saying that she didn't. But at the literal very, very beginning of the trial, they asked her, "Ms. Heard, why are you here today at this trial?" And she said, "My ex-husband is suing me for an op-ed that I wrote." Right there, you admitted that you wrote it. And then even before this, she said that the lawyer that asked her that was like, "Okay, we're here to basically discuss like the only way that they can win this or whatever the case is to prove that she wrote it or something like that." And then the second you asked her that question as to why she's here, she straight up admitted it right there. "I'm here because my ex-husband is suing me for an op-ed that I wrote." What more evidence do you need? Any evidence after that they have is proof that she has always been the abuser in that relationship.
yeah, it's
It was
crazy.
never Johnny.
Um,
And now that they're on, I think, day 3 or 4 of the crossing examination where they have Amber Heard on the stand, and it's like rapid fire. They're catching her lie after lie after lie. It's
Yeah.
actually great.
we're
Day
def-
1 was just like amazing. I was
Yeah.
waiting for that.
we're definitely gonna save that for another episode, but we can wrap up here. We hope you guys enjoyed all the content, of course, as possible. Leave a like and comment in the description, and I guess we'll see you guys on the next episode. Don, anything?
Yeah, guys, stay safe out there. Peace.